Veterans and Human Services Committee at 6:30. Members of our committee is Council Waterman and Council Blair, who is not here just yet. I expect him to be here. I think he's going to be here. All right, first we're gonna have three people talk today. We got Zachary Fogg. If you want to come to the podium, please. All right, name and your address and.
Hello, I'm Zachary Fogg, and I live at 569 Lindsay Street.
And he's for the Attleboro Youth Commission. And if you could just tell us a little about how you got to this, and if you want to use your cell phone, if you have that, or if you just, however you want to talk about it.
Well, I heard about Youth Commission from Owen Cobus. He kept telling me that I should join it, and I feel like it's a really great way to do volunteer work and things like that, and so I signed up for it.
What's that?
So he signed up for it.
Oh, it's signed up for it. Okay, sorry.
Owen Cobus was
Yeah.
harassing him.
Yes, it sounds like that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Councilor Cobus.
Once you're all set, I have a question.
Yes.
All right. I know former President Cooper used to always ask a question of anybody coming before us for the Youth Commission. I think his go-to question was photosynthesis, but let's. How many elements from the periodic table could you list?
Hydrogen, helium.
Slow down. I brought it up here. So, all right, hydrogen.
Helium, lithium.
In order, too.
Boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine.
Oh my God.
Neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphoruses, sulfur, chlorine, argon.
I think that's enough. All right, bravo.
You won.
Outstanding, Zach.
With two science teachers.
You stumped him.
Outstanding. I was able to follow along from what I could tell. That was 100% correct. So, Zach is obviously a friend of my son's. I've known him for a little while. He's a great kid, and I encourage everyone to support this.
Zach,
I think it'd be great.
I got one question for you. Is there any difficult or ridiculous questions you'd like to ask Councilor Cobus? Yeah, he's just too nice.
Do you prefer me over Owen?
As a politician, no comment.
So, Zach, looking at your questionnaire that you filled out, is what's one issue in front of the committee board that you're passionate about?
Well, I know that the Youth Commission has done a lot of things for cleaning up Attleboro, which I like, as well as food pantry things.
Good.
Yeah, that's all right. Anything else you want the council to know about you?
I just think that this is a really good opportunity to help the community.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Anybody else have any questions? President Delicio.
Zach, nice to see you again. I know we had a conversation not too long ago. Not really a question, just saying we're meeting here at 6 o'clock on Thursday, so come on down and just try it out. I think you're going to bring a lot to the Youth Commission. Really excited to continue to see the ranks grow and grow. So, I mean, what you just did with Stella on the spot, like banging out 10 of the elements is pretty
16,
fantastic. 16. Yeah, 16. Well done.
Yeah.
Councilor DeSimone.
Yeah, Zach, I just want to say thank you for stepping up. It's a great group, and anything that gets kids involved in civics and municipal government is awesome. And are you thinking about running for office one day? Should we be on the lookout?
Yes, I can take over the world.
That's I think the plan is. Have at it. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions?
It's not a question. You just absolutely amazed me with the end. Did you know that question was coming?
Yes.
I know you
Who
did.
knows?
That's fantastic.
You had a great memory. You learned well.
Thank you.
Yeah, just one last question. Who would be your favorite counselor? And
Mr. Kobus. No bias there at all.
So you
Well,
go.
thank you very much, Zachary, and you'll be hearing from us very shortly.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Good
thank
luck,
you.
Zach.
Well done.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, Terry, you're up.
Hello, my name is Terry DeSisto, and I live at 29 K Street in Attleboro. And I'm interested in joining the Elderly and Disabled Taxation Fund Committee. I have experience being on the Municipal Building Commission for 11 years. I'm in my 11th, serving my 11th term now. And also, I worked for Verizon for 30 years. I dealt with municipalities as my customers. When I retired from there, I left there and went to BioDirect, and I worked as an asset manager for corporate assets. I'm interested in this position because I saw it in the Sun Chronicle that they were still looking for people, and they were looking for seniors. And I thought, well, I'm a senior, so I qualify there. I decided, I wanted to be participating in, instrumental in being part of a good program that helps the seniors and helps financially and encouraging more community support. I'd like to see more community support in this venture. So I'm dying to see it grow much, much more. And one issue that the committee or the board that I'm passionate about is I believe in helping others who are not financially able to afford things on their own. I mean, that's kind of a passion, whether it be food, housing, whatever. I also have volunteered in the past for the Friends of Attleboro Animal Shelter, the FARS group. I did mostly fundraising, and I've also volunteered at the Attleboro Art Museum for years. And that's pretty much it, unless anybody has any other questions.
Anybody, Councilor Conti?
Welcome.
Thank you.
I think, would you be the third person and thus fill that committee?
I'm not really sure how many people.
I'm not sure really. Do you know?
Honestly.
Councilor Angelo?
I do not.
There's at least two.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, yes, no, actually, no.
Because we had Mr.
Wait,
Escobar.
Escobar,
Yep.
Yeah, we've had
it would
one.
be Terry, I'm not sure if there's a third.
I thought it was meant to be a committee of three, but it doesn't matter. A committee of two would get the job done. And I want to thank you for volunteering because you're cutting new ground. There's no job description.
Oh, yeah.
On this. So I appreciate.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I have
yeah.
a bunch of things in my head spinning around what we could do.
The best possible world, you'd have nothing to do. But I got a feeling you're going to have something to do. And thank
That's
you.
a good thing.
That concludes my comments,
Thank
Councilor
you.
Angelo.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor DeSimone.
Hey, Terry.
Hi.
Hello, neighbor. Thank you for stepping up. I'm excited about this committee as well. It's long overdue. And thank you as well, because you're also still on the MBC, right?
Yeah,
So
the
thank you for
municipal
taking on
and school building.
in school. So thank you for taking on yet another tour of duty. But this is important. Anything I can do or we can do to help make this grow, I'm all in. So I'm happy to have you.
Good, thank
Thanks,
you.
Terry.
Anybody else have any questions? Councilor Waterman?
Well, I also really appreciate anything we can do for the seniors. When I speak to people at doors, I would say this is one of the top 3 subjects that I hear.
Really? Wow.
So maybe like second or third. So it's important. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I volunteered.
Councilor Reynolds?
Terry, I just want to know, do you think you're going to stay on both, or you might end up?
Oh, no, I'll
being
stay on both.
You're going to stay on both? Okay.
I'm retired, so.
So you have time? Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Terry, very much. And
you.
as we
Thank you,
spoke, you'll
everyone.
hear from us very shortly.
Can I leave you one little quote from Margaret Mead?
Absolutely.
Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
Perfect.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I agree.
Brendan?
Good evening. My name is Brendan McIntyre. I live at 626 Oak Hill Avenue, and I am interested in filling the vacancy on the Attleboro Redevelopment Authority Board. I've dedicated my entire adult life to the practice of building strong and vibrant communities. I graduated in 2013 with my bachelor's in science in city and regional planning from The Ohio State University. I do have to say The Ohio State University, otherwise they'll find me. And in 2017 with my master's in facility management from Wentworth. I worked for the past 7 years as an urban planner for the Massachusetts Port Authority. In my free time, I also volunteer as a member of the Family Selection Committee with Greater Boston Habitat for Humanity and on the Housing and Community Development Committee for the Massachusetts chapter of the American Planning Authority. So I like to keep myself busy. But I'm interested in this position because Attleboro is my home. I think probably the most important part of my education is I'm a proud product of Attleboro Public Schools, graduating from Hyman Fine in Wamsutta, right around the corner from where my boyfriend of 4 years and I just bought our house, along with our very, very spoiled, thank you, with our very, very spoiled rescue dog.
Awesome.
So I'm extremely excited about the opportunity to give back my time and my passion to the city that I love. I think we have a bright future in front of us. The continued reemergence and development of our downtown is exciting. I love seeing it grow and evolve every day when I take the train into the city and coming back. And I think the opportunity to work with the city as a collaborative partner on the TOD district just over by the train station is extremely exciting. There's so much possibility there. I was able to attend the TOD visioning session that was held a couple of months ago, and I just am so excited about the possibilities and the opportunity for growth in our community. So happy to answer any questions. My periodic table knowledge is nowhere near as good as yours, I regret to say.
Council Condon and President Delacia.
So, in my opinion, you're the right guy for the job.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking time out of your life to volunteer for the city of Attleboro, because we need people just like you to do exactly what you're about to do. The Attleboro Redevelopment Authority, when they were really active, would appear in front of the council on a half-year period to update us on their activity. The activity is slowed a little bit, but I'm thinking that it's probably, once we reestablish that board, probably should have a update on where you are and what projects are in the pipeline and what the potential is down the road. It's long overdue. I think it's been 2 years since Rich Correa, who is now retired from the board, appeared for us to kind of tell us what was going on. So I will make a note, and maybe next March or April, we'll see if we can get the board in front of the council for an update. And thank you, Councilor Angelo.
All right, thank you, Council Conti. President Delacia.
As a former member of the ARA, glad to see someone with your background coming and putting your name out there. I think those are great things. As my colleague said, the ARA at one point, and there's quite the rich history, I'm not sure how much you know about it, but a lot of great things have come to fruition because of the ARA. When you look at Wall Street North and Wall Street South, the TOD, as you talked about, but more the Intermodal Transportation Center, the ITC. There's a lot that the ARA has relied upon, their expertise. So I'm really looking forward to having someone of your background and caliber coming on board. So thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, Mike. Brandon. We're killing it tonight with the volunteers, because you are going to be an awesome impact. The ARA is such a powerful tool for the city to have in its toolbox, and to have someone like you to take over for Rick Correa, who did a fantastic job, and work with the other members, they're a force. So thank you for joining the ARA. Thank you for coming back to Attleboro and making your home here. And this could be the beginning of some really great stuff. So thank you very much. Super excited to have you on board.
Thank you.
Thanks for serving.
Any other questions? All right, well, like everybody else said, this is, I think you'd be a fantastic fit, and I look forward to you being on that board.
Thank you so
That'll be great.
much.
All right, and you'll be hearing from us very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
All right. Okay, from the docket of September 6th, 2022, I entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Terry DeSisto, 29 K Street, Attleboro, to the Taxation Aid Committee.
Second.
All right. Motion's in order. Any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
No, I think Terry's going to be another great addition, and we look forward to her. All right. Let's see. All right. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Council Blair?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes. All right. From the docket of September 6, 2022, entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Brendan McIntyre of 626 Oak Hill Avenue to fill an unexpired term on the Attleboro Redevelopment Authority, term to expire February 2026.
Second again.
All right, thank you, Council Waterman. As we've just witnessed, Brendan's going to be fantastic, and we're lucky to have him. Any other questions or anything? No? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. All right, from the docket of September 6, 2022, entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Zachary Fogg to fill an expired term on the Youth Commission, term to expire February 2025. Second. All right, motion passes. Any questions?
Great addition.
Yeah, another great addition. We're, like Council DeSimone said, everybody's been killing it tonight. This is a great group we're putting together. So, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That concludes the Business for Personnel Veterans and Human Services Committee at 6:47, and we look forward to a meeting at the next available time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We are adjourned at 6:47.
I'd like to call the Public Works Committee to order at 6:47. So I have three motions tonight, but first we're going to hear from Superintendent Wunschel regarding an update on the water situation. So if Courtney would step up, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hi, Courtney.
I'm sorry, Alan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay.
I apologize.
Do you realize I signed at Wunschel the other day?
I
did not tell
apologize for
husband.
that. I have you on my phone. I'll change that right away.
No, that's quite all right.
So we have some rain. How are we doing?
We're doing a lot better. August, I guess I'll jump right in. August, we
please.
saw normal rainfall, which didn't get us out of the drought situation, but it kind of stopped the bleeding for the month. September, we have seen 6 inches so far this month. And that was with another roughly half an inch today. This has brought, actually that's already above the September average of the last 5 years, which are a little back and forth. September, the last few years, we've either had drought or we've had downpours, but we're hitting about average where we should be. And what that has done for us is brought all of our reservoirs back to normal for September, with the exception of Hoppin Hill, which is still 17 feet down. Yeah, so I mean, the 10 inches of rain over probably 3 weeks brought us up a couple feet, 2 to 3 feet. So it's looking better. Production is down. Again, last time I was down here, it was just before we went on full restrictions. The plant production at that time was averaging about 6 million gallons a day. We're down to an average of 4, with a third of that coming currently from Wading River. The plan right now is to leave the restrictions in place. And the reason for this is, again, if we fall back into a little bit of lack of rainfall, it's going to hinder our ability to refill Manchester over the winter. So the plan right now, we're starting to, do our depth testing of Orr's Pond. With the water coming in, Orr's Pond's been spilling, the water's been stirring around, and what we're seeing for our manganese there is actually a lot lower than we usually see in the summer. We depth sampled at the last time Thursday morning. We get a manganese result of 9 milligrams per liter out of Orr's, which is, again, the reason we don't use it all summer. I'm not actually discouraged by 9 because what we usually see in the summer is up to 18. So we're looking in pretty good shape to actually be able to at least start blending in the next couple of weeks. and start to bring Orr's Pond back online. At that point, and I've discussed this with the mayor as well, is we get Manchester offline, get Orr's Pond online. Orr's Pond will fill when it rains, Orr's Pond will fill when it snows. At that point, we can start filling Manchester and take Wading River offline. I did send out, the draft PFAS notices to everybody. Those went in the mail yesterday, so they should be hitting mailboxes either, if it was really quick, today, but if not, the next few days. So the plan is to get Wading River back offline, at least for the winter, and give the north side of the city a break. A couple other things that I've dug into since I was last here in August. And a couple of these actually have to do with Councilor DeSimone. I'll start there. She and I met with planning earlier this month, late last month. And it was, the discussion kind of started with discouraging irrigations. How can we not permit them anymore? And, the consensus in the room is we really can't. It's a hard sell to have somebody spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on a house and not be able to irrigate their lawn. And then there's all the ones that are already there. And again, between myself and the assessor's office, who I also talked to, and building, we don't know where most of these existing ones are. Again, we can go to Home Depot and we can dig our lawn and put in an irrigation system. So we can't really discourage the installation. We can't really shut off the ones that are there. So what we talked about was native plantings, less tree clearing for lots that are going in. Taking that 2-acre lawn and making it, even a 10,000 square foot lawn would be a huge difference, and the property would still be attractive. So we have decided that we're going to be meeting on a monthly basis. We have our next meeting in a couple weeks, but there is a start of discussion there. I actually met with the middle school education coordinator this morning. We're going to be working with the 5th grades again citywide with education conservation, and that will end up being a yearly thing we do with them. She is going to be sending me the projects that the 5th graders completed last year. Basically, we went and did conservation training, and they instituted it into their technology projects. So she said they have some really cool graphics and posters, videos, and all sorts of things she's going to send, and I'll send them on when I get them. I'm actually really excited to see them. The other thing is that Councilor DeSimone and I had talked about, and I talked about last time we were down here, was changes to the ordinance to beef up the water restriction ordinance. I still have it in front of me. I still haven't sent it back because every day I'm making new notes on it because something different comes up or a question will come up with a resident where I look at what's existing here, and even with the notes, it's not quite there and not quite clear yet. But it will be in the coming weeks. Councilor Delicio had asked last time about signage and working with MEMA. It was actually funny because we are a member of Mass Waterworks, and they have a message board. You can put up questions about anything, and somebody will hop right on and answer. My question was, has anyone had any experience borrowing emergency messaging, anything like that from MEMA? Their coordinator with the state put me in direct touch with MEMA, which is a big no-no. It's supposed to be through the fire department, but I did get a lot of information from it. Basically, to borrow signage, we have to be in a declared state of emergency. And at that point, we may possibly be able to get it. But the other thing that they did bring up when I was talking with them, the gentleman from MEMA, is related to something that came up last time, and I'm not sure which councilor asked it, but it was about the use of reverse 911. We don't have the ability in the city of Attleboro to hit cell phones with our reverse 911. MEMA does. with a declared state of emergency, they can draw a perimeter right around our service area and hit every active cell phone in the area, should we ever need it. Next time we go full restrictions, we didn't declare a state of emergency, but we could, and that would be our access to the reverse 911 and the signage. For electronic signs, again, they're big, they're expensive, they're tough to store. They require, bless you, they require registrations, insurance, that sort of thing, and a way to get them indoors and out of the weather. What we have looked into instead is they're almost like the realtor signs you see out on lawns. Basically, it has the message on it. For level 1, we'll have one message. We go to a level 2 restriction, we can pull it out, drop in level 2. We have a few dozen of these on order for the signs themselves. For the actual, like the wicket that holds them up, I believe we ordered 15, and we can place them around public areas in the city, main roads, things like that. So I mean, that's the progress we have so far. Again, I did really want to discuss the reason for leaving the restrictions in place, and that is to preserve Manchester and get Wading River offline and be able to sustain that offline, at least for the winter.
Councilor DeSimone?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Dolan, and thanks for having Courtney come. Courtney, a couple of questions, if I may. So, inasmuch as 10 inches of rain, bless you, resulted in a 2-foot increase, where does that position us heading into next spring? Because you said that's really where your concerns were. What needs to happen between now and then to put us in where we should be, or the best position?
We need a little bit more rain. Of course, and you know, Orr's Pond is kind of our magic bullet, but not really. It's not going to be online tomorrow, but the sooner we get it on, the sooner we can start recovering Manchester. Every time it'll recover from rainfall. We can fill it from Luther, which is much smaller, without having to release from Hoppin Hill. It puts us in a better position. Manchester also is currently well above average at this point. It's about 8 inches above average from all the rain. So it's looking really, really good.
Okay.
So I have a lot more confidence on refill this month than I did when I was down here last month.
So do you think maybe we'll be in a position to start next year with no restrictions, or is it too soon to tell?
We always have to start with restrictions.
Right, okay, but we'll be you're optimistic that we'll be in a better place come the spring than you were?
Well, we were in a great place this spring. It kind of, I know, it kind of all hit in July.
All right.
And the other thing, there was an issue with messaging this year, and it wasn't even so much getting the message out. We put out the same restrictions we normally do, and it's those recommended by the state, where, you know, you handheld during the day, and then you can do whatever you want at night. And it seemed to be really, really confusing to the public this time for some reason. I'm not sure. So a better start, and it'll get people in that thought process of conserving is, and we actually partially did this to be able to fit it on a sign and make the messaging easier, is that initial May to September restriction that were required by the state is, instead of hand watering during the day and everything else at night, and certain days this and certain days that, 9 to 5, don't water, and anything outside that do whatever you want is how we're going to start. And I think it's going to make the messaging a lot easier. If you know, shut people down, for lack of a better word, during the day, they'll at least be a little more used to it if we have to move the ban further again next year.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Council Blair was before you, and then Council Angelo. Go ahead, Council Blair.
Excuse me. If you take the band away, I've got calls in my neighborhood.
So do we.
Right? That there's repair work necessary to some of the lawns from it being shut down. And I was hoping you would say that they could hand water those repaired areas.
We're getting there. We actually are getting there, and that's, thanks for bringing it up. It is one thing I forgot to mention is the state met on September 8th. They moved us out of level 3 and into level 2.
Yeah.
They're meeting again on September 22nd. Unless we get inches more rain by then, I don't expect us to move out of level 2. However, there's a bunch of different criterias they'll start looking at, and they'll start looking at, weather patterns, groundwater. When you get this late in the season, they'll start talking about, predicted hurricane season, things like that. So if that's encouraging, as of September 22nd, the plan is to loosen the restrictions, not completely just allow everybody to start watering again, but either hand watering or, just watering at night.
Because in my neighborhood, there's quite a bit of damage. My lawn's a mess, right? I got caught fertilizing, couldn't walk fast enough to spread the fertilizer far enough, and it really burned. But in order to repair the damage in my neighborhood, just not me, right? You gotta put some water on it. No matter what you do, you put seed down, right? If you don't have some water, you're not gonna get any growth. And
The birds just take your seed.
yeah, you're gonna lose a lot more. I was hoping to hear from you that you would consider hand watering at night, anything that.
I'm really hoping that I have that sort of news next Friday after they meet.
Okay, thank you. Please give me a buzz.
I will.
I can
Actually,
call
I'm
some.
right there.
I can call some constituents and tell them that we're at least looking at that.
All set, Council Blair?
Yeah. One other quick question.
Okay.
The hookup to Pawtucket, have we made any progress on that?
We sort of have. You will be seeing a request for an additional loan order likely in November coming down. And again, as I spoke about last time, the intent is that, again, the initial loan order, and it's because it's years and years old and prices going up and everything else, didn't really cover the bid. And there's a couple ways that we're going
So wait, can we just stick with the water, like what we're doing right now, so that way we don't get too deep in the hole?
You don't think the water is important coming from
I
Pawtucket?
absolutely do, but she came down to talk about the water levels right now, and there were other councilors waiting to do their committees. So I was just gonna, if we could just stick with that, the subject that we're on. Is that all right?
Just answer me, we got any progress?
You'll be looking at an additional loan order in November.
Thank you. Councilor Angelo?
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Me being a landscaper for most of my life, watering at night is not really the way to go. It's watering in the morning.
Right.
And most people that are gonna be watering in the morning is gonna be getting it done before 7 o'clock. So the 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock really might not restrict too many people if they're doing what they really should be doing for a proper lawn. But maybe looking forward to the following year, would we consider maybe an odd and even system where I think a lot of communities, and I can't swear to this, but I think a lot of communities have had an odd and even system. Don't tell Councilor Blair about that.
Odd and even is going to be terrible to track. Because any given day, if you do an odd even at any given day, any given time, folks can water. So, I mean, you're looking at if we want to patrol or keep an eye out when the crews are out there, paying attention to which side of the street something's on. And it kind of becomes a logistic nightmare on certain streets where we actually have street numbers switch sides. So it's not even a full side of the street, if that
I
makes
guess it would
sense.
just be better than not having anything if we get to the point, because I think some communities always have something in place, never just drop everything, so we don't get back into this, down the road.
I will also mention too, odd even, if you talk to, you can talk to councils and mayor's offices and things like that in other communities, and they'll tell you one thing. I will tell you from the waterworks perspective, they're gonna use more water. They sell a lot more water doing odd and even. You'll find production is up. If there's rain predicted, somebody will go, well, it's my day. I don't care if it rains tomorrow. I'm going to water anyway, and they just do. You'll actually see production go up. where if we just restrict between the hours of 9 to 5, we generally won't see much of, well, you said it yourself too, you really, really won't see much of a difference in the water use. Which is kind of what, again, we're, like I said to Councilor DeSimone, we're just kind of get that initial restriction, trying to get people into the mindset without really disturbing our revenue or selling more than we should be.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Council Cobus?
I do, and Councilor Dolan, feel free to cut me off. My question was regarding where we were with the PFAS mitigation, and I saw with the TTHM report that it was high in August, and was wondering where we were with that for Wading River. And feel free to stop me if that's off topic. I get it.
If we could just keep it brief, that'd be great.
Sure. Again, the intent is to try to get that offline for the winter. Temporary treatment for PFAS and PFAS only. We're looking at late spring, early summer at best. That will be temporary treatment for PFAS, not for THMs and HAs. So for the THMs, we're kind of stuck with them and working around them until we can get a full plant upgrade eventually.
And those are cyclical based on the season, right? It's
right
when the leaves fall, and after that, and the rain falls, that's when they spike, right?
It tends to be more from temperature. It causes the organics and the chlorine to react. So you'll see August is typically higher, and November, which is counterintuitive, but the water is still warm in November. So those tend to be our higher months.
Okay, thank you.
Council Waterman?
I'll be very brief. I wanted to thank you for letting, advertising, I guess, that the Ward 3 and Ward 4 people, with Councilor Cobus's help, can go down and get that spigot in that first building, and I've been doing that. And so that's coming from Moore's Pond, correct?
Currently, it's coming from Manchester.
Oh, it's coming from Manchester? That's even better. And so,
But even in the fall when we switch over, if we're
Right.
still using Wading River, Orr's Pond is also compliant with PFAS.
so it won't be too long before we have the water back that was shut down. Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions? All right, thank you, Superintendent Allen.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night.
Thank you, too. From the docket of September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to transfer $20,000 from account 1124100-578300 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to 1124100-599200 Citywide transfer to grant, and to further transfer $20,000 from account 1124100-599200 Citywide transfer to grant to fund 2344M4-499700 SWIG EPA Municipal Distribution. Anybody? Second? Thank you. So this is for the water chestnuts in the water. I don't know if anybody read anything on it. This is to alleviate that problem. I'm sure that this isn't the first time you all have heard about the water chestnuts. Yes, no? I'll fill you in.
Moore's Pond, right?
Yeah, Dodgeville, everywhere, they're horrible. So this is to remove them. So, you know, it clogs our waterways and impacts native vegetation and blocks the sun, and just, it's a nightmare. So, when it comes to full council, I encourage everybody to support this. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. From the docket of September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to approve the request from Massachusetts Electric, DBA, National Grid, and Verizon New England to relocate poles and raise wires on Hazel Street Extension to accommodate roadway layout changes and truck traffic.
Second.
Thank you. So pretty self-explanatory. Does anybody have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to approve the request of Massachusetts Electric, DBA National Grid, and Verizon New England to relocate one Joe pole on Dunham Street, beginning at the point approximately 20 feet south of the center line of the intersection of Pine Street. Relocate pole 5102 from one side of the road to the other with an anchor.
Second.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on that? Kind of self-explanatory. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And that's all the business I have tonight for Public Works. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 7:10.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. I
No,
feel like you're
sorry.
looking at me. We are adjourned at 7:10. Do you want me to, thank you. Do you want me to go right into Kelly's and call for those public hearings, or? So I'm just going to go into traffic and transportation. I'd like to call that to order at 7:11. This is just a call for 2 public hearings. I entertain a motion to hold a public hearing on October 4th to restrict parking to one side of Frank Mossberg Drive.
Second.
Thank you. This is just for the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. From the docket of September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to hold a public hearing on October 4th to amend Section -10(4.11) of the revised ordinance, isolated stop signs, by adding eastbound drivers on Jefferson Street at 5th Street.
Did you say October 4th?
Yes.
Okay, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. That concludes the business for traffic and transportation. I'd like to call for an adjournment at 7:12.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I'd like to call the License Committee to order at 7:11. Well, I guess we'll call it 7:12. So, we have one item of business this evening, one motion. From the docket of June 21st, 2022, I would entertain a motion to approve the application from the Friends of Capron Park Zoo to waive S 1115.1 and serve alcoholic beverages on city property for an October event.
Second.
Thank you. This event will be, everything will be on premises, be wine, malt beverages at the zoo. And it could have, it's a fundraising event, and it could have up to 750 people. I'm not sure it'll have that many, but they listed for that. Are there any questions or thoughts on this?
No.
Okay, thank you. So I would call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we pass 3-0. And there's nothing else that I needed to share at this time. It will be coming up at our next meeting. Is there anything anybody else would like to bring up?
I'm all set.
Okay. So I would call for a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:13.
I'd like to call the Finance Committee to order at 7:15. Sitting on this committee, myself, Councilor Cobus, and Councilor Reynolds. I have a few motions to bring before you this evening. The first, from the docket of September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to authorize the school department to pay previous year school bills totaling $4,781.53 from fiscal year 2022 as stated in Mr. Furtado's communication.
Second.
Thank you. I called Mr. Furtado and have not yet heard. If I do hear by the time the full council meets, I will inform. There were just a few there that I didn't know what they were. I didn't know the top 3 that were on the list. The one on the bottom was $1.23. I'm not concerned about that. The Rhode Island transportation is pretty self-explanatory, but I just didn't. There were personnel payments of $175 and $600, and I'd just like to know what those were. Usually, he attaches the invoices to his correspondence, but he didn't. So I put in the call, we'll find out. But I would recommend that we pass this in this evening just to get the bills paid. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. From the docket, September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to transfer $345 from account 1124100-578300, citywide reserve fund for transfer, to account 1124100-578220, citywide bills from previous years, in order to pay a fiscal year 2022 invoice to SS Service Corp.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Corbus. SS Service Corp is on a contract with the city for repairs to several buildings. This one somehow got tripped up in the process. Is there any discussion? Motion's in order. I'll call for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. On the docket of August 16, 2022, I move to nullify the previous tax increment exemption resolution voted on May 4th, 2021 for 27-39 South Main Street LLC, and authorize a revision as stated in the following resolution for the mayor to enter into a TIE agreement with 27-39 South Main Street LLC pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40V, Section 4BI, and Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5M. I want to waive the remainder of the reading.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Corbus. My position on this has been clear from the beginning, and I'll reiterate it. I'll be voting against this in committee. I'll be voting for it against it in council. I was in support of the $500,000 that we voted in May, and I felt that we had a viable project going at that point. I would love to see the project go forward downtown, but I am of the firm opinion that these three people that appeared for us on the public hearing, who are together own 12 corporations, have come back for a second bite of the apple strictly for profit motive. And that their testimony that evening was, I thought, lacking the support for the increase that they're asking. And I am close to the development industry as assessor in Taunton and a real estate broker. And I think that the city could have done a better job negotiating this. But we did approve one TIE, and for them to come back for a second bite is just something that I, and the phone calls that I've received, of course, I attracted those phone calls because I said from the beginning, I'm not in favor of this. So naturally, I'm a magnet. Everybody in the city wants to call and say, I support you. So that concludes my comments. Does anyone have anything else? I saw Councilor Kobush first, and then I'll get to Councilor Reynolds.
The one thing I'd like to say tonight regarding this matter is my position, regardless of if I support or don't support it. If something's ready to come out of committee, I very much will vote in favor of it for it to come out of committee. I don't like when things are killed in committee. I like to bring it before the full council so that we can hear everybody's vote, and it has the opportunity for everybody to vote either for or against. So I'm not going to speak in favor or against it tonight, but I am very much in favor of voting this out of committee. I think it's ready, and that concludes my comments.
Well, thank you for that, Councilor Reynolds.
So I've always been against this, so I intend to vote no, on both cases, taking it out of committee. Quite frankly, if these people had the money, they would do it. And the feeling for me is that if we were to go higher and give them more benefits, and they don't have the money they need, which I think already they're telling us they don't have the money, and everything's not getting cheaper, it's getting more expensive. So we're going to be stuck with them not being able to complete the project anyway. That's my opinion after speaking to several builders and whatnot. So I'm not voting it out of committee. I'm saying no.
That concludes your comments? Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, Chair Conti, for letting me speak in your committee. Two things, and I say this respectfully. I am hesitant to assign motives, and indeed, to hold against a business a profit motive, particularly when a recent vote came down to the fear that businesses would lose profits. I'm hesitant to go there, sir. I say that respectfully. I support this. I do understand concerns on the other side. So I'm taking this vote in and of itself. It is unique. This is the only thing I'm thinking about. And the only question I'm asking is not about the developers and where their kids go to school, and indeed what their motives are, because I frankly don't care one iota about the developers. What I care about is a whole downtown and a building that sat there for 15 years vacant and had to be torn down at the request of the fire department because it was a health hazard. So I fully support this. And I also suggest respectfully, we are here to do city business. If you kill something in committee, particularly something of this import, you are doing an injustice, and I say this respectfully to you, Councilor Reynolds, whom I also respect. You're doing an injustice to the city and every voter in the city. You can vote against it, but please let it get out of committee. We are not here to do this, Chair Conti. Respectfully, sir, you've been doing this longer than I have. Please let it get out and let it be what it will be on the floor. But I implore you, it's a city business. It deserves to be heard and voted on by the elected officials of this body who represent the voters and the residents of Attleboro. And I thank you for letting me speak.
Councilor Blair.
Richard, I think you're absolutely right. The only way I disagree with you, I agree with Councilor DeSimone that everybody on this council should have the opportunity to vote for it or against it. I would hope you'd reconsider that. I won't be voting for it when it comes out next week, believe me. But I want to be able to vote for it. And the only way I can vote for it is it comes out of committee and comes to the floor. I think you've done a great job, Richard. You know, no disrespect, but I honestly believe all of the councilors have a right to vote for it or against it. And like, I'll be blunt with you, I'm not going to vote for it when it comes out. I mean, on the main floor, but I think we should have the opportunity to vote.
Thank you, Councilor Blair. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And I say this respectfully as well. So I agree with Councilor Blair and Councilor DeSimone as far as letting it out of committee. I could not echo that louder. We are all here to do city business, like Councilor DeSimone said. We have the right to vote on what comes down. I will be voting in favor of it, and I think the only error that Councilor DeSimone made was that's vacant. I think it was vacant for like 40 years, not 15. I want to say it's like 40 years. Catherine Ferrick said when she was here, we're missing the front tooth. And you know, when you look at it, look at the city with this torn down now. So when it comes down to the developers, I don't care. I don't care where their kids go to school. It matters nothing to me. Whatever they're going through, that matters nothing to me. I was elected by the people of Attleboro. I was not elected by developers. So we're here to do the city's business and to do what's right for the city. I don't care who sat up there and said what. I don't care if they cried. I don't care about anything that they had to say personally. And again, Kathleen DeSimone is right about profits. We care about small business profits. People do everything everybody does is for a profit. Nobody does anything that's not for a profit. This building has been vacant, and this has gone through mayor after mayor after mayor, who I am absolutely certain that Paul Harrow, Kevin Dumas, Judy Robbins, everybody did their best to attract a developer. The owner was holding it hostage at a really high cost that nobody could come for. And as Catherine Ferrick said, there's no appetite for a business, for a project this small. There's nobody coming down the pike, at least right now. So I am begging you guys to support this. This has sat there and rotted and been an eyesore for so long. I grew up here. I watched it deteriorate. I used to eat the fishnet like everybody else that grew up here did. It's not for the developers. Nothing is for the developers. I don't care about the developers. I care about the residents. And I care about moving forward in the city. And I'm absolutely voting yes. And excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on. We adopted the HDIP for a reason. We're using it. We adopted it as a full council. We adopted the HDIP, and now that we're using it, nobody's happy. I get that they came back. Nobody's happy. Nobody wants to give them anybody's money. But if you look at collecting the minimal amount of taxes that we've been collecting on this property year after year, decade after decade, we have an opportunity right now to do the right thing. We adopted the HDIP for a reason. Let's use it. We adopted it. Let's use it. Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak so long.
You're welcome. Councilor Angelo.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. I appreciate all the words that Councilor Blair, Councilor DeSimone, Councilor Dolan said. I agree that it should be heard by the councilors, and I have no skin in the game, but opposite of what you've had, I've had one person come to me and say, I don't want this, or maybe two people via one with an email. But I've had a lot of people come to me and say, we need to put a building in there. We need to get going with this. I've had overwhelming amount of people that see me. I'm in Attleboro all the time, at the YMCA, at a lot of functions, because I have a lot of business in Attleboro, and I've had a lot of people in Attleboro reach out to me in that case. So, but I am attracted to the fact that the city hasn't gotten a lot of money in that building for many years, and I do remember the fishnet, and I remember the owners, the Corrs of the fishnet, and now we have an opportunity to actually get rid of that eyesore and put something in there. But like I said, I've had a lot of people calling for that building there, and that's about all I have to say.
So, Councilor Angelo, are you asking me to allow the full council to vote?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Reynolds.
So I just want to reiterate that, everybody's saying that the building's going to, we want something built there. When Catherine Farrick herself said there's no guarantee. She clearly said there is no guarantee that this will get built if we offer this little divot to them. And if it comes out, I'm not supporting it anyway. I have gotten just the opposite. Lots of calls. Please vote it down, vote it down. I really don't want to take it out. I will have, I'm going to defer to you, Councilor Conti, if you want to take it out or not. But when our own person, Catherine Farrick, says there's no guarantee, to me, it's just, I'm not going there again. That's the end of my comment.
May I add one thing?
Sure.
To reference that, there's no guarantee, which is concerning, of course, right? But
Obviously.
we don't lose any money. If they fail and then we have to start over and sell this property again, they don't get a dime of our money.
They own the property.
Right, but if it gets sold, whatever happens to it, if they fail to build, they don't get a dime from us until it's complete and occupied. They get no tax breaks.
They own the land. They own it.
Correct.
Right.
And it's not, we can't say that it will go up for sale. They might just hang on to it.
Unlikely that they would hang on
Don't
to it.
know.
But of course there's no guarantee, but I mean, we can't force a guarantee. But again, the city of Attleboro loses no money, and just like the Canadas held on to it for 40 years. Hopefully they won't do that. Hopefully they'll sell, but again, we don't know what they'll do. But just to be clear, if they fail, which I hope they don't get any money from the city of Attleboro.
Did you have additional comments you want to say?
I do not.
You're done, okay. So, Councilor Wyman, go right ahead.
I'll be very brief. I agree with those councilors who would like to be able to speak on this and vote on it next week. I just think that's the way to go in government, so I agree with Councilor Copas on this.
Thank you, Mr. Waterman. Councilor Wyman. So the Attleboro Municipal Council Rules of Procedure are not clear in this regard. The rules of procedures clearly allow a committee to tank a measure. So a committee can vote no, and it does not go in front of the council. However, in this case, where I've heard 4 councilors speak and request for the measure to come before the full council, I think it's in order to respect the gray area that's in the rules of procedure. We voiced how we think we feel. The reality is that the voters will take action based on how councils vote. That's how the whole democracy works. So if the full council wants to take a full vote, then I think we probably should allow them to do so, because they're speaking in a majority to say that we want to be heard. So I'm inclined, and this is open for discussion among the committee, I'm inclined to let the full council vote on this measure.
I said I would defer to you, and you're the chair, and so I'm comfortable with that because that's what you'd like to
So in
do.
that regard, I would ask you to vote in favor
I
of this
will.
measure to be able to go in front of the council. Very well. So the motion's in order. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. And that concludes the business of the finance. Next week, I have to make a presentation to the Taunton City Council, so I'm gonna be late for the full council meeting. So, hopefully I'll be here, but I may not. I just wanna let you know that, okay? Yes.
And I will be traveling for business, but I will be connected by Zoom.
And I cannot connect by Zoom because I'll be in a meeting. So you will be.
I will
the chair.
be.
Yes.
But I will be here, but. Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
But
I thought that was gonna happen to me tonight. That concludes the business that the finance meeting has concluded this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I declare us adjourned at 7:31.
The IT and Infrastructure Committee is canceled for tonight.
Public Safety Emergency Management is canceled this evening.
I guess ordinances is also canceled because I have no committee here. so-
Somebody doing Diana's?
I will. And zoning and land use is canceled for tonight, but I'd like to call for a committee meeting next week at 6:50.
And it's IT canceled.
IT is canceled.
All right, so we need to call the,
City, that's right.
yep,
City-
Chief Public Claim, right?
Yep, city property and claims to order. I'd like to call it to order at 7:32. From the docket of September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to declare the following assessor's office furniture as surplus and available for disposition. 1 gray fabric office chair in poor condition and 1 black fabric office chair in poor condition.
Second.
Thank you. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Any other concerns, questions?
Nope.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. From the docket of September 20th, 2022, I entertain a motion to declare the following MIS furniture as surplus and available for disposition. 2 blue fabric chairs, both in poor condition, and 1 black leather chair, fair to poor condition.
Second.
Again, I think it's in pretty self-explanatory. Any questions, concerns?
None.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion passes. And that is all the business City Property and Claims Committee has this evening, and I would like to call for an adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:33.
Took you so long.
Thank you.
Is that,
Okay, Mike, you did yours.
is that, I have a second one, but is there tax abatement? Is that yours?
That's mine, yeah,
Yeah.
but ordinances?
I canceled this, my committee's not here, thank you.
Peter, you canceled?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to call the Special Committee on Tax Abatement Review to order at 7:35. Sitting on this committee, myself, Council DeSimone, and Council Bennett is absent, so Council Cobus, I'll ask for you to sit in on this meeting, please. I have just one measure. I entertain a motion to rescind the following vote from the docket of December 21st, 2021, where we voted 8 yeas and 1 nay. Council Blair was the nay, to adopt a senior means exempted program by way of a special act on a way to relieving some of the property tax burden of certain qualified Attleboro residents.
Second.
Thank you. I'm going to waive the remainder of that reading. And Councilor Copus, I'm pulling you off my committee with the return of President Delicio. Thank you for your short service. Okay, so the reason why I'm asking to rescind this vote is because this that we voted on in its exact language became Massachusetts House Bill 2292. And in Massachusetts House Bill 2292 went to the Committee on Revenue, and the Committee of Revenue gave it a favorable consideration, and so it jumped over to the Senate. When it got to the Senate said, wait a minute. According to the language in this measure, if the governor decides to raise the circuit breaker from, say, $50,000 a year, which is where it is now, it's about $50,800, I think. So if, right, let me explain everything so everybody fully understands. The circuit breaker tax is an income tax program whereby if you have income below a certain threshold, you don't have to pay Massachusetts state income tax. What this measure would do would put you into a real estate exemption program in Attleboro. So right now, the threshold's at $56,800, and Attleboro residents who have a married combined income of less than $58,000 do not have to pay Massachusetts state income tax, but they do have to fill out a form and file with Julie, and if their income's that high, they won't qualify for $1,000 off on their real estate taxes. The intent of this was to marry the two together. Number one, to take a lot of work out of the assessor's office for some savings, but also to streamline it, that, you know, if the state thinks that you're at a level where you don't have to pay state income tax, then you should be at a level where the city of Attleboro thinks that you should automatically get an exemption. And that's fair thinking, but the Senate brought up a very important thing. Is that what happens if, say, the governor goes from $56,000 to $150,000? Oh no, now suddenly all the communities, 351 communities, cities and towns in the Commonwealth that have adopted this locally would be liable economically for all of those exemptions for all of those people that have hit that new number. So the Senate is wrangling with how the local option can be adopted at a threshold. And there's no legal way yet that has been discovered. But what it means is that if we took our measure up there to the House, we would have the exact same problem. Therefore, let's strike it, let's let them figure this out, and that concludes my comments. Yes.
Thank you, Chair Conte. I appreciate your explanation, because when I saw this, I was concerned, having worked on it with the assessor, but I appreciate your explanation, and it makes perfect sense. My concern is, though, that this would have been a good program for seniors who qualified in Attleboro, and my concern is, what are we going to do next? Like, this is an issue we need to continue to work on, and my concern is, as I expressed in a previous hearing, you know, at the state level, things could take as long as things are going to take. So I'm putting very little faith that this issue may be resolved anytime in the near future. So what can we do for Attleboro senior residents now?
I'm glad you asked.
Let's go. Give it to me.
The law states that any community that adopted the local exemption under Chapter 59, Section 2, Paragraph 43, I think, 44, is that you could exempt up to, I think, like $2,500. We are down at, I think we were at 500 for years and years and years, and I think we went to 750. Last year, Taunton went to 1,000. Gotta be careful, because you've got about 250 people there, and every time you go from 500 to 1,000, you're hitting that overlay. And that overlay has to be very healthy, or else she's got to come here and ask for money, and that comes out of free cash, or the stabilization fund if there is no free cash. So we don't want to set ourselves up for a threshold on senior exemptions that is so high that we don't have the income to cover it. And that needs to be managed, is the point that I'm trying to make. So there's room for us to move it up more without too much pain at this time. But this is not the right way to do it. And that requires a new motion, which should occur after discussions with the finance team to determine the current revenue picture and the revenue flow in the city.
May I follow up, Chair?
Yes.
So if we do this and the state sits on the current measure, H 2292, for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we would have gained nothing.
The
So-
city council can each year, if the finances are supportive, increase the exemption amount, the threshold in the current law. There's a lot of room to move that.
Okay, all right, I'll take you at your word. I know this is your expertise, so I'll defer.
So where such measures would get my support is that if there's sufficient revenues flowing into the city to support it. And I'm sitting down with our chief financial officer this Friday afternoon to finish the stabilization fund, the free cash policy, the debt policy, and the budget policy to bring before my committee on the 27th, which I think is going to be a very interesting night. And at that night, I'm going to have the treasurer, the auditor, and the chief financial officer in with us as a joint meeting, committee meeting. And so we can go through how we got to where we are on those policies. But that's separate. That's a separate thing. We could do the same for seniors if there's a drive to move that senior exemption number. But this is not the right way to do it, and that's the whole point of sitting here. Yes, Councilor Delicio.
Thanks. If I could just augment your point, Councilor, I think the other piece that's important to note is this doesn't mean that all the other work we've done up to this point ceases. It's just this one particular piece where it gets to a certain point too where state will trump local. And I think that's where this is heading, if I may. The other piece is there were some concerns when we received feedback, Council Conti and I, about exactly some of the wording and some of the verbiage. So it was kind of, we had to go back to the starting, to the drawing board anyway. At the same time, as it coincided with what was going on Beacon Hill. I think this is another one of those opportunities where we have collaboration efforts with Senator Feeney, with State Rep Hawkins, as well as doing what we can do with the great work that you've already started. Where we're at right now with this piece, it's not going to achieve the end that we wanted. Thank you.
It's very important for seniors to know that we're not taking anything away from them. Very important. You understand that?
Got it.
Thank you.
Chair Conte, if I may, one more. Has our assessor, is she aware of this, that this motion to rescind is before us, and is she on board with it?
I do not know. I haven't talked to her about it.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay.
Some of the feedback we received was from Julian's,
Okay, all right.
as
good
well as
enough.
the auditor.
That concludes the business that the Special Committee for Tax Review has to bring before you tonight. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Were we supposed to vote on that, Chair?
Oh, we do need to vote. Motion's in order. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. That was seconded by Councilor DeSimone.
Yes.
I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I declare the Special Committee on Tax Abatement Review adjourned at 7:43. Thank you.
The Special Committee on Classification Compensation is canceled for tonight and call for a meeting at the next available time.
Outstanding.
That's it.
That's it.